Single dad discovers heartwarming truth. His babysitter for two amazing daughters was the CEO's hidden daughter. Mike stood under the soft glow of the porch light, his eyes reflecting a mix of exhaustion and hope. By day, he was a mechanic, and by night, a part-time delivery driver, juggling the demands of life for his two energetic daughters, Lily and Emma. They were his world, his litmus test against the looming heaviness of poverty that threatened to steal their laughter. Each evening unfolded with bedtime stories where the heroes triumphed, instilling dreams of adventure in the girls' heads. Laughter filled their shabby little home, despite the stark reality of bare kitchen shelves. But in their quaint suburban Ohio neighborhood, gossip bled through the manicured lawns and picket fences. The whispers labeled him a deadbeat, questioning his worth tied to his income. Each judgment cut deep, yet Mike remained steadfast, wrapping his girls in unconditional love, believing that their laughter held more weight than any societal expectation. Then came Jenna, a local college student with a vivacious spirit that lit up their lives like a new sunrise. The way she twirled the girls around in the living room, her laughter ringing through the air, it was pure joy. She brought more than just her babysitting skills, she breathed life into the daily grind, knitting a tapestry of warmth that enveloped their home. The girls adored her, and Mike saw glimmers of happiness that momentarily shielded him from his burdens. But one day, Jenna vanished without a trace, leaving behind memories trapped in the echoes of laughter that once filled their home. Mike's heart pounded with confusion and betrayal. Where did she go? Had she just been a fleeting moment in their lives? As he began digging deeper, he discovered the impossible truth: Jenna wasn't just a college kid scraping by, she was the daughter of a prominent CEO, using her babysitting as part of a mentorship program for those in need. The revelation tore through Mike like a thunderstorm. He wrestled with feelings of inadequacy, questioning his perceptions of success. Why had he held on to judgments about wealth? In Jenna, he had seen not just a friend, but a beacon of hope. This wasn't just a personal struggle, it was a mirror reflecting a broader narrative about societal inequalities and the measures of worth. Determined to honor Jenna's spirit and the friendship they had fostered, Mike decided to organize a community fundraiser. He envisioned it as not just an event for raised funds, but a rallying point for the local families, a challenge to redefine what success truly looked like. Excitement mingled with skepticism as he plastered flyers around town, sharing heartfelt speeches about unity and resilience. He invited everyone, yearning for a change in perception, for a chance at solidarity. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the fundraiser approached, anticipation crackled in the air, but so did doubt. Could he really change the hearts of those who had once cast him aside? Would the lessons Jenna taught about kindness and community be strong enough to bridge the divides? Mike stood in the midst of his conflicting emotions, wondering if this was simply a step toward healing or an uphill battle filled with uncertainty. With each passing moment, he questioned, would they rally together, or would he find himself alone again, fighting against the tide? Uncertainty loomed like a shadow, and with it, hope flickered, holding its breath in the dawn of change. As the day of the fundraiser drew closer, Mike felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. Every flyer he taped to the community boards felt heavy with expectation. He woke up early each morning, wanting to touch base with local businesses to gather donations, but every knock on the door felt like opening a wound. The memories of whispers, the looks of judgment, he carried them with him like a backpack full of bricks. Lily and Emma watched him closely. They could sense his hesitation, his doubts. They didn't understand the world of adults and the pressures that weighed down their father. They only knew that they were proud of him. After all, he was doing something big for their community, something worth believing in. "Daddy!" Emma exclaimed one morning, bouncing into the kitchen with a giant piece of colorful poster board. "Look what we made for you." She and Lily had scribbled, "We love you, Daddy," across the top in vivid crayon colors. Mike felt a warmth swell in his chest, a flicker of the hope he had been clinging to. Suddenly, it didn't matter how many people showed up to the fundraiser, what mattered was that he was doing this for them, for their future. The evening of the event arrived. Mike stood outside the community center, a small, rickety building that had seen better days. Brightly colored balloons danced in the mild breeze, tugging playfully at the strings that secured them. He had arranged tables filled with baked goods, homemade crafts, and a charity auction with contributions from generous neighbors. He even held a small raffle, the prize being a weekend family getaway at the local lake, which he had convinced a friend to donate. As people began to trickle in, Mike felt a subtle tension grip his heart. Would they show up? Would they stay? The room filled with laughter, chatter, and the aroma of baked treats. Individuals who had once dismissed him as a failure now stood side by side, talking and smiling, the air buzzing with community spirit. Then, he spotted her. Jenna entered the room, the glow of recognition lighting her face when their eyes met. There she stood, looking vibrant and alive exactly how he remembered her. The girls rushed forward, breaking the spell like a delightful storm, and hugged her tightly. Seeing them together almost brought tears to his eyes. She knelt down to their level, embracing them, wrapping their laughter around her like a warm blanket. "Is this your idea, Mike?" Jenna asked with a soft smile, her eyes searching his. "I needed to do something," he breathed out, feeling the truth of that statement resonate deeply within him. "For the girls, and for the community." Her eyes twinkled with respect. "It's incredible. I'm proud of you." Moments like these made him feel that he could unleash the narrative buried inside him. He took the stage, heart pounding like a drum. As he began to speak about resilience and the importance of community, he looked out into the sea of faces. Some were familiar, others were not. But they were all there united. Yet, despite the laughter and support, behind the smiles and clapping, he sensed lingering doubt. Would this connection last beyond tonight? Could they truly shift their perceptions? The chatter turned into silence as he expressed his fears, his dreams, and the story of Jenna, the girl who had challenged everything he thought he knew. But just as hope began to take root, the ground beneath him shifted. A loud crash erupted from the back of the hall. Shocked, Mike turned, finding a figure struggling to stand with an overturned table of baked goods. The air was suddenly thick with confusion and whispers, masking a precarious tension. What would happen next? Would this crisis threaten the community spirit he sought to build? The moment stretched like an elastic band, holding the crowd breathless as he realized his deepest fears were about to be tested again. The clatter of overturned trays echoed through the hall, and for a split second, Mike's heart raced. He squinted into the crowd, trying to identify the figure behind the chaos. It was a young man, no older than 20. His face flushed with embarrassment as he struggled to rise, his hands smeared with frosting. "Mason!" Jenna rushed to help him, instinctively reaching for the fallen cake. Her voice broke through the murmur of the crowd. "Are you okay?" The tension lifted slightly, but Mike still felt the heat rising in his cheeks. Could this be the moment that derailed everything he had worked for? Laughter erupted as Mason regained his footing, but it still echoed oddly in Mike's ears. It was meant to be lighthearted, yet all he could think about was how many moments like this had haunted him, the slip-ups he could never shake off. "Sorry," Mason stammered, his voice brighter now, trying to shake off the moment in front of the growing crowd. "I'm still getting used to this whole event thing." He laughed, his awkwardness melting the unease in the room. Mike couldn't suppress a grin as the laughter rippled through the audience. Perhaps this crash was just a bump on the way to something greater. After helping Mason clear up, Jenna pulled Mike aside. "You see? They're not here to judge you. They want to be part of this, just like you. They're laughing with him, not at him." He nodded, the realization igniting a small flame inside him. Jenna was right. This was about connection, about lifting one another instead of tearing each other down. As he glanced at Lily and Emma laughing, hands sticky with frosting, his heart warmed even more. They were safe, living and learning within this community he wanted to strengthen. Encouraged by that seed of hope, he called the crowd back to attention, his voice steadier now. "Moments like this remind us that we're all human. We all stumble, but it's how we lean on each other that matters." The response was immediate, a ripple of applause following his words. It felt electric, breathing life into the night. As he looked out into the crowd, the faces no longer seemed daunting but instead welcoming. They were a tapestry of shared experiences, each smile, each nod a binding support that wrapped around him like an embrace. But just as he began to feel reinvigorated, his phone buzzed in his pocket. Mind still racing from the evening's events, he pulled it out, the screen illuminating his face. An unknown number. Curiosity mingled with anxiety, and he answered it. "Hello?" The voice on the other end sent chills racing down his spine. "Is this Mike Thompson?" "Yeah, who is this?" "I have information that might change everything, about your fundraiser." His heart dropped. What more could shake the fragile stability of this night? As the voice continued, his mind struggled to keep pace. What could this mean for him, for the community, for his daughters? He glanced back at the crowd, laughter still igniting the space, and suddenly he felt an urgent doubt darken his heart. What would happen if his past caught up with him? And as he stood there, caught between hope and dread, a single, electric question formed in his mind: was tonight really the new beginning he'd imagined, or was it the start of something much darker? Mike's grip tightened on his phone. The voice on the other end was low, almost conspiratorial, and it made his skin prickle. He took a deep breath, glancing towards Jenna, who was engaging the crowd in a warm conversation. The laughter echoed behind him, a stark contrast to the heaviness pressing down on his chest. "What do you mean about my fundraiser?" Mike asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Panic fluttered in his stomach. He could almost see the moment teetering on the edge, and he fought to regain control. "Things aren't what they seem," the voice responded, ice in every word. "I think you need to be careful about who you trust." "Is this some kind of joke?" Mike snapped back, a surge of frustration battling his fear. He wanted to throw his phone into the crowd, to forget the bubbling suspicion that something was unraveling just out of view. "Trust me, Mike. You need to listen. I know things about the sponsors, about what they want from you and your fundraiser. You're in deeper than you think." His heart raced again. His mind began to spiral through memories of conversations he had barely registered, new partnerships he had been so eager to jump into. He wanted to protect the community, but what if he was leading them blindly into a trap? "What do you know?" he asked, his voice coming out firmer than he felt. "There's a lot at stake here. Someone wants to use this event for their own gain, and you're in their path." Every word felt like a punch. His hands trembled as he processed the magnitude of it all. Did someone really want to sabotage him? You can't just leave it at that. Who? Why? I can't tell you everything over the phone. "Meet me," the voice insisted, urgency slipping through the cracks. "There's a lot I need to show you. I won't be easy to find, but I'll reach out again." And just like that, the line went dead. Silence enveloped him like a shroud. He stood frozen, struggling to breathe through the sudden wave of uncertainty. Could there really be threats lurking beneath the surface of his carefully curated event? With shaking fingers, Mike pocketed the phone and ventured back into the light and warmth of the gathering. He took in the laughter, the smiles, the families coming together. Beneath the joyful veneer, he felt an impending storm brewing. His heart sank as he thought of his daughters and the risks that could affect their lives. "Are you okay?" Jenna's voice gently pulled him from his thoughts. Concern etched on her face, and her hand lingered on his arm, grounding him. Yeah, just got caught up in something unexpected," he said, masking the dread rolling through him. "But look at this. Everyone is really getting into it." John, one of the attendees, stepped forward with a smile, breaking the tension. "This event is incredible. We should do this every year. It reminds us of what matters." But Mike felt the weight of the voice haunting him as he nodded along, locked in battle with an inner turmoil. Was he truly building a community, or was he about to watch it all crumble? As the night wore on, the laughter began to stir unease within him. He glanced at his daughters, their carefree joy juxtaposed against his gnawing dread. Did he have it in him to protect them from whatever shadows were looming? Just as he turned back to Jenna, ready to share his worries, a flicker of movement caught his eye. A figure at the edge of the crowd seemed to be watching him, their gaze sharp and calculating. His pulse quickened. Was someone really out to get him? The question echoed in his mind, leaving him unsettled. Would he discover the truth before it was too late? As the music swelled and the laughter drifted blissfully onward, Mike felt the electricity of danger in the air. He needed answers. Time was running out. Mike's heart raced as he scanned the crowd. The figure lurking in the shadows seemed to shift, blending into the background, but Mike couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. He felt exposed, as if some unseen force was unraveling everything he had worked for. "Dad, look!" Katie shouted, her voice bursting with excitement. She ran towards him, clutching a colorful balloon twisted into the shape of a dog. Her joy was infectious, a stark contrast to the knot tightening in his stomach. Her sister, Emma, trailed closely behind, her small hands clasped tightly around an oversized lollipop. "Isn't this awesome?" Katie beamed, her eyes sparkling. For a moment, Mike wanted to drown in her enthusiasm, to forget the darkness that loomed just beyond their joyful gathering. "Hey, sweet pea," he managed, forcing a smile. "That's a great balloon. Can I get a picture with it?" Emma asked, pulling at his arm. "Sure. Come on." Mike crouched low, framing them in the camera of his phone. He snapped the photo, capturing their bright faces, yet something inside him felt immense pressure. The laughter and music around him felt like a facade. The momentary respite shattered when he saw the figure again, closer this time, their face now partially illuminated under the soft glow of the festival lights. An old acquaintance, someone he hadn't seen in years. Robert, the fundraising consultant from a previous charity event. Why was he here? As sirens blared in the distance, Mike's heart skipped. Anxiety slid through his veins. "Hey girls, stay close to me, okay?" He did his best to project calm. "Why, Dad?" Emma asked, tilting her head. "It's fun. Look at the ride." "I know, but I need to talk to someone for a minute. Just promise to stay right here." He took a few tentative steps towards Robert, who stood with his arms crossed, watching intently. Mike called out, trying to mask the urgency in his voice. "Robert! What are you doing here?" "Mike," he replied, his expression unreadable, "we need to talk. In private." "About what?" "Just trust me. It's important." Every instinct screamed to walk away, to gather his daughters and escape whatever storm was brewing, but Robert had never been one to make a scene. Still, a flicker of recognition passed through Mike's mind. This man had always had a knack for the intricate and often messy webs of fundraising. "Fine. Just give me a second," Mike said, casting a worried glance back at Katie and Emma, who were swirling in laughter with other kids. He guided Robert a few steps away, just far enough that the sound from the gathering softened. "What's going on?" "I just got word about the sponsors," Robert began. "There's chatter among them, conversations that suggest they want to take control of this event." "How do you know this?" Mike felt a surge of anger mixed with desperation. "Let us just say I have my sources," Robert said, stepping closer. "And it might cost you more than just donations, it could affect your family too." "Are you kidding me?" Mike glanced over his shoulder, half expecting to see the figure watching again. "What are they planning?" "I can't disclose everything right now." "Just know, they're after something and you're in their way," Robert warned grimly. The blood drained from Mike's face. This was exactly what the mysterious voice had warned him about. The stakes were higher than just a simple fundraiser. It was about more than money, it was about his daughter's safety and the community he loved. "I don't have time for riddles, Robert." "What do I do?" "Meet me later, away from here. I'll explain everything." "But stay vigilant," he replied before disappearing back into the crowd, fingers shaking. Mike turned back to the girls, a sense of urgency exploding inside him. He had to protect them not just from the chaos of the night, but from something darker, something he still couldn't comprehend. As he approached them, he knew every second counted. The shadows were closing in, and with each passing moment, the truth hung heavier over his head. "Come on, let us get some ice cream before it runs out," he suggested, attempting to push down the rising tide of fear. Their laughter rang out, bright against the lingering tension, but Mike couldn't ignore the weight settling in his chest. Would he be able to uncover the truth before the storm broke? The ice cream stand loomed ahead like a beacon, and Mike hurried his girls along, forcing a smile. He could see their excitement in the way they practically danced on the pavement, their carefree laughter ringing in his ears. But it was a sound he struggled to enjoy, the joy in their voices a stark contrast to the turmoil churning in his gut. 2 scoops, please. Katie chirped as they approached the counter, her eyes gleaming at the colorful choices. Mike nodded but barely focused. His mind raced as he watched the throng of festival goers. For a moment, he spotted Robert again, talking urgently with a small group. Their expressions were tense, and Mike's heart sank. He couldn't shake off the heavy feeling pressing against his chest. Time ticked away, and he knew he had to get answers soon before the festivities morphed into something sinister. "Dad, look! They have rainbow sprinkles!" Emma exclaimed, bouncing on her heels. "Yeah, those look great, Em," he said, forcing himself to focus. He ordered their cones quickly, the simple act of getting ice cream feeling strangely grounding. But the moment the server handed them their treats, Mike felt the weight of responsibility crash down. "Why don't we find a place to sit?" he suggested, scanning the area for a quiet spot, away from the excitement and laughter. He spotted a shaded bench beneath a large tree, a perfect hideaway from the chaos around them. They settled down, and as the girls eagerly dug into their sweet treats, Mike's mind wandered. The curse of his chaos was his work. It had become so entwined with his life that it felt impossible to untangle. The last few months had been a whirlwind of determination and doubt, and now, the very cause he loved was placing his daughters at risk. "Dad, are you okay?" Katie's innocent voice pulled him from his thoughts. She licked her ice cream and peered up at him, concern etched on her young face. "Yeah, I have a lot on my mind," Mike admitted, forcing a smile. "Are you worried about the event?" Emma asked, her eyes wide with curiosity. "You could say that," he replied, trying to sound reassuring while his heart raced. "But you girls having fun is what matters most right now." Katie and Emma exchanged glances, chattering about the parade of colors and costumed characters roaming the grounds. Their laughter filled the air, but Mike's thoughts drifted back to Robert. "Where are you, buddy?" he muttered under his breath, glancing back toward the festival. The ambient noise melted into a backdrop as he contemplated what Robert had said. Control. There was something so ominous about that word. The events of the night felt like strands from a larger tapestry, one he just couldn't unravel yet. Every friendly face could hide a threat, every laugh could mask deceit. As if answering his unasked question, the bell of the festival announced the start of a grand fireworks display. The sky burst into colors, illuminating his daughters' faces with wonder. "Look, Dad! Fireworks!" Emma squealed, pointing excitedly. Both girls jumped up to see the show better, their earlier worries instantly forgotten in the cascade of light. But Mike couldn't get lost in the beauty. Instead, his eyes darted through the crowd, searching for signs of danger. The festival seemed to pulse around him, vibrant yet chaotic. He knew he needed to meet Robert soon. Every pop and crackle in the air felt like a countdown, and the flashing lights only heightened his sense of urgency. Suddenly, a commotion broke out a few feet away. People were shouting, and a woman stumbled into view, her eyes wide with panic. "It's happening! They're here!" she shouted, and the crowd began to stir restlessly. Mike's heart plummeted. What was happening? "Stay close to me, girls!" he yelled, instinctively pulling them toward him. He tightened his grip on their small hands, searching for an exit among the swirling chaos. "Dad, what's going on?" Katie's voice trembled slightly. "I don't know, but we have to move," Mike replied, fear sharpening his instincts as he scanned faces running past them. The night had just taken a dark turn, and Mike realized that uncovering the truth was no longer optional. It was a quest for survival, for his daughters, and he was willing to face anything for them. With a surge of determination, he pushed through the crowd, looking for the way to safety in Robert. The one person who might hold the key to solving the nightmare unfolding around them. But as they moved through the throngs, a shadow loomed behind him, and he felt they weren't alone. What are they after? He wondered anxiously. Would he uncover the truth before it was too late? The crowd surged like a tide, panic rippling through the festival goers. Lights danced in the sky overhead, but all Mike could see was chaos unfolding around them. He held tightly onto Katie and Emma, ready to fight through the crowd if necessary. "Dad! I can't see!" Emma cried, her small fingers gripping his tighter. "Just stick close," he said, forcing his voice to sound steady. "Keep your eyes on me." As he maneuvered through the throng, desperation clawed at his chest. Whispers of fear passed like electric currents among the crowd. He could feel tension in the air, something ominous was brewing. The joyous atmosphere had fractured, leaving behind uncertainty and dread. "Where's Robert?" Mike muttered, frustration mounting. He had spent countless hours talking to Robert about how vulnerable they'd become, yet now he felt utterly lost without him. They pushed past a booth showcasing colorful crafts, a stark contrast to the rising fear around him. Emma clutched her ice cream cone tightly, her eyes filling with tears, while Katie sought comfort by slipping her small hand into Mike's free one. He wanted to assure them that everything would be fine, but the truth lingered in his mind. He didn't know if they were truly safe. "Look, Dad." Katie pointed toward the edge of the crowd, where a group of men were hurriedly gathering and moving with purpose. "Do you see them?" Mike squinted, catching the flicker of suits and mismatched expressions among the festival goers. "Yes, just stay close," he warned again, pushing forward. Each step felt more deliberate as the group came closer. "Is it them? Are they the ones causing the panic?" He wondered aloud. The knot in his stomach twisted tighter, feeling the weight of responsibility settle deeper. Suddenly, a sharp voice pierced through the din of panic. "This way! The exits are blocked!" A man disheveled and wild-eyed shouted at a nearby group, urging them to move in the opposite direction. "We need to regroup," he insisted, his panic palpable. Mike's instincts flared. The man had a sense of urgency that matched his own. "Let us go this way," Mike shouted, trying to guide his daughters toward the path the man had indicated. Before he could take 3 steps, a loud crash erupted from the explosive stand. The sound echoed ominously, making the floor beneath them tremble. "Run!" someone screamed, and chaos erupted once more. Mike felt fear surge. They had to flee before they were trapped. With his heart racing, he pushed Emma and Katie ahead of him, urging them to hurry. Laughter transformed into cries as the crowd exploded into motion, desperate to escape the unseen danger. Hold on," Mike shouted, trying to maintain some semblance of order as they rushed through the narrow paths between booths. As they approached the edge of the park, he spotted Robert. There he was, his expression taut with worry. "Mike!" he yelled, making his way through the chaos. Relief surged in Mike's chest, but it was short-lived. "Over here!" Robert gestured wildly, leaning into Mike's line of sight. Just as Mike pushed towards him, a sharp pain erupted in his shoulder, knocking him sideways. "Dad!" Katie cried, watching as Mike stumbled, adrenaline coursing through his veins. "Keep running! Go to Robert!" he shouted, forcing the girls away, pushing them forward while he braced himself. The atmosphere felt charged, and he could feel fear wrapping around him, thick and suffocating. He couldn't let anything happen to them. Robert was calm but focused, his eyes scanning the area. "They're coming!" Robert shouted, urgency lacing his voice. The girls twisted back to him, their eyes wide with panic. "Dad, we're scared." Emma's voice trembled. "I know. Trust me, we'll be okay." He reassured them, his own resolve stealing. He turned to Robert, who was already assessing their surroundings. "Mike, listen carefully," Robert said, a sense of determination creeping into his voice. "They're after something. We need to get out now." As the shouting rose and the chaos threatened to engulf them, Mike felt a flicker of hope ignite within him. Together, they could survive this. But there was no turning back now. Secrets were buried, and the truth loomed just ahead. "Stay close," he urged, steeling himself for whatever lay ahead. But then, just beyond Robert's shoulder, he saw something that made his blood run cold. A group of men, shadows lurking in the distance, watching. Who are they? He wondered, a sense of dread settling over him once again. What had they stumbled into, And would they make it out together? Mike felt the weight of uncertainty bearing down on him as he pushed himself closer to Robert. The crowd raged around them, a sea of fearful faces and echoing screams. He had to fight through it not just for himself, but for Katie and Emma. "Come on, we need to keep moving," he barked, his voice thick with tension. As they heard another crash echo behind them, adrenaline surged through Mike's veins like fire. He could see Robert's expression tighten even further, an unspoken agreement passing between them: they had to find safety. "Where do we go?" he asked Robert, glancing at the crowd surging wildly past them. "Over to the side exit. Less crowded." Robert pointed, gesturing toward a dimly lit path that led out of the park. The rapidly dimming lights overhead felt ominous as shadows stretched across the ground. The distance from the chaotic heart of the festival to that exit felt like miles. "Stay tight," Mike commanded, wrapping an arm protectively around Emma while holding Katie's hand. With every step, his heart thundered in his chest, matching the frantic pulses in the air. He could feel the tension rise and crackle like static electricity, a prelude to something catastrophic. They shifted sideways, finding momentary shelter behind a booth. And in this cramped space, he looked at Emma's tear-streaked face, her big eyes reflecting confusion and fear. "I'm scared, Dad," she whispered. "Me too, sweetheart," he admitted, forcing a smile that felt more like a grimace. His heart wavered at her innocence. He wanted nothing more than to shield her from it all, to tell her everything would be okay, but the truth cracked at the edges of his resolve. "Dad! Look!" Katie cried, her voice rising above the din. She pointed toward the distance, where those same men they had noticed before seemed to be moving with more intent, their faces grim and determined. "What are they doing?" "They look," Robert started, but Mike cut him off. "Let us not find out," he urged, grabbing the girl's hands tightly. "We need to keep moving." As they began moving again, he felt the urgency settle into his legs, propelling him forward. But just as they made their way around the corner of a food booth, another wave of noise drew their attention. A loud explosion rocked the ground, sending a shockwave through the air. It was followed by the screech of metal and awning buckled under the pressure, crashing to the ground mere feet away. The crowd tensed, and Mike felt time freeze for a moment. "Emma, Katie! Run!" he shouted, and they were off again, sprinting toward the exit. He could barely breathe as panic surged within him, threatening to swallow them whole. The world became a blur of frantic faces and flailing arms as he shoved ahead. The two girls were right next to him, their feet pounding against the ground, and instinctively, he wrapped them tighter under his wings. But they were closer to that shady exit now, each step igniting a flicker of hope in his chest, a promise of safety. They rushed into the shadows, but as they turned the corner, something halted Mike in his tracks. "Stop!" A figure loomed just beyond the silhouette of the door. It was one of the men from before, and the look on his face summoned dread. "Dad?" Katie whispered, fear creeping into her voice. "We're going to be okay," Mike said, more for himself than them, moving into position between the man and his daughters. "What do you want?" he demanded, his voice steadying, fueled by protective rage. But as he readied himself to face whatever was about to happen, he saw the man's eyes not menacing, but desperate. "We're not the enemy," the stranger said, raising his hands in appeasement. "We need your help." What could he possibly mean by that? The tension in Mike's chest tightened further, setting the stage for an unexpected confrontation that could change everything. Would they really find safety, or had they stumbled into a trap? Mike's mind raced, caught between instinct and reason. The man's pleading eyes held a desperation that felt alive, almost tangible in the charged air. He could sense Katie's grip tighten on his hand, her trust in him wielding both comfort and discomfort. Emma clung to his side, her small body quaking slightly. "What do you mean you need our help?" Mike's voice held a steady edge, the tension gripping his shoulders as he shifted slightly, keeping his girls behind him. The man took a cautious step forward, a gust of wind rustling the leaves nearby, as though nature held its breath. "There's been an incident. Something big is going down, and there are people here who want to prevent it, but they need assistance to do it safely." "Assistance?" Mike echoed, his heart pounding as he tried to decipher if this was a scheme or a plea wrapped in urgency. The world outside was still swirling with panic and chaos, But here, in this brief sanctuary, something more profound threatened. "They're after us," the stranger continued, his voice low and urgent, "but they're not after you. Not yet." He hesitated, looking over his shoulder as if expecting something sinister to emerge from the shadows. "If we can get you out of here safely, you can help us get to them. But we need a distraction." "Why would we help you?" Robert interjected, stepping closer to Mike, uncertainty etched on his face. "How do we know you're not part of whatever's happening?" "Because I can't let innocent people get hurt," the man replied, his hands still raised. "I'm not asking for you to trust me blindly, just give us a chance to explain." Mike caught Robert's eye. He could see his friend battling between fear and reason. But as he scanned the streets around them, the panic felt like a virus spreading through the crowd. They were running from something deep and dangerous. Could this man perhaps know a way to protect his daughters? "What about my girls?" Mike asked, his voice dropping. "What will you do to keep them safe?" "I promise, I'll protect them. But you need to trust me." The stranger's eyes were filled with conviction, and Mike recognized the familiarity in those eyes, a look that mirrored his own when all he wanted was to protect Emma and Katie. "I don't know." Mike's voice cracked for just a moment as the storm of parental instinct swirled in his chest. "Dad, please. We have to help them," Katie begged, her youthful passion igniting a spark within him. "We can't let them get hurt if we can do something." Emma nodded, her little hands squeezing Mike's. "I want to help, Dad." In that moment, hope flickered anew in his chest, battling against the hesitation. Could he risk everything on a man they barely knew? The question tore at him like a jagged wound. "Okay," he said finally after what felt like an eternity, his voice firm yet heavy. "But if this goes wrong, I'm holding you responsible." "Fair enough," the stranger replied, relief washing over his face. "Now, we need to move, quickly." As he turned to lead them deeper into the shadows, Mike felt the uncertainty still shadows his mind. The festival outside, once filled with color and laughter, now felt like a battleground. Whatever his decision, he was stepping into a fight he couldn't truly comprehend. They followed the stranger, hearts racing, a belief in something greater than themselves lighting the way forward. But lurking behind that thrill was a chilling question: what exactly would they uncover? Every step they took echoed the intensity of the unknown, a rhythm of adventure and fear blending into one. What were they about to face? What would they discover when loyalty, trust, and the fight for survival tested them to their limits? The air was thick with anticipation as Mike, his daughters, and the stranger slipped away from the chaos of the festival. Shadows enveloped them, cutting off the laughter and the panic while the world painted outside began to fade. The strange man led them through a labyrinth of narrow alleyways, his feet moving briskly, urgency radiating with every step. "Stay close," Mike urged, instinct stirring him into action. His heart thundered as a mix of fear and adrenaline danced through him. "What's your name?" he pressed, keeping his hold on Katie and Emma's hands. "Liam," the stranger replied, glancing back briefly. "And I promise I'll keep you safe." His voice held a palpable sincerity, a glimmer of trust amidst uncertainty. They finally emerged onto a quieter street as sirens wailed in the distance. The sense of danger seemed to stretch and ripple through the air, heightening Mike's instincts. "What's really going on?" he demanded, his eyes narrowing in on their guide. Liam paused, glancing behind him. "We just didn't want anyone getting hurt. A group is planning something big tonight. A distraction that threatens not just the event, but people's lives." He waved his hands as if to dispel the gravity of his words. "They want to create a panic, divert attention away from their real target. We need to get you to a safer place." "Who's behind it?" Mike pressed, every instinct screaming for more answers. "I don't know, but they're dangerous," Liam replied, jaw clenching, urgency laced in his tone. "A few of us are trying to stop them. But we can't do it alone." "Dad!" Katie gasped suddenly, eyes wide. "Are we gonna help them?" Mike looked at his daughters, their innocent excitement pulling at his heart. He was putting them in a situation he never intended to, yet their bravery ignited a spark within him. "We have to stay strong together, no matter what," he said, battling his apprehension. We'll do whatever it takes to fight against the darkness. Liam led them around the corner to a small, dimly lit building that looked inconspicuous against the backdrop of the ongoing chaos. This is where we regroup, he explained just as he pushed the door open and ushered them inside. The atmosphere shifted from fear to a frenzied determination as they stepped into a room bustling with people strategizing, eyes wide with urgency. Mike took in the scene, the camaraderie, the resolve, the way everyone pulled together for a common cause beneath shared shadows. It was a reflection of everything he had tried to build in his community, turning his feelings of helplessness into strength. Listen up, Liam called, gathering attention. We've got families caught in the middle of this mess. We need volunteers to maintain order, and others to secure exits. Any help matters. Mike felt a surge of purpose. This was his moment. I'll help. His voice rang out, surprising even himself. I can do whatever you need. We want to protect the community. The more people we have in place, the better, Liam encouraged. Me too. Katie shouted, her small hand raised with determination, while Emma nodded earnestly by her side. A knowing smile crossed Liam's face. We'll need the hands of your daughters for this. Everyone here matters, big or small. Hope ignited within Mike's heart. They quickly concocted a plan, establishing connections, spreading out to help monitor the situation. The laughter that once filled the festival was gone, but it was replaced now by something else: solidarity, strength, and a cause. Every minute counts, Mike realized as they raced outside again. The festival chaos still buzzed, but they navigated it with purpose. They found others ready to lend a hand, transforming fear into action. The energy pulsed around them. Old acquaintances and new friends reinforced the importance of togetherness. Mike felt grounded by the progress they could make, their community rising, uniting against adversity. Suddenly, the echo of shouts pierced the night, and Liam gestured sharply to a small group of people, causing disruption further down. This is it. Let us go, Mike said, determination fueling him. They moved collectively, as if synchronized by some unspoken bond. Remember, we're not just protecting ourselves, Mike urged, eyes flickering with the shimmers of their previous fears. We're protecting the lives of everyone we care about. As they neared the scene, tension coiled tightly. The instigators of chaos were gathered, waiting to unleash their ill intentions. Mike's heart raced. This was the moment of truth, the convergence of purpose driving him forward. In that electrifying moment, he knew that it wasn't just about them. It was about reshaping the narrative, forging a future built on resilience, kindness, and undeniable unity. Because that's what families did. They stood together against the storm, hearts unwavering for the sake of each other. Together, they unleashed courage into the night, faces illuminated by the spark of hope. And just like that, Mike understood they were ready to face whatever came next. As his daughters took a firm grip of his hand and squeezed tightly, he realized his fears dimmed, replaced by an unshakable belief in the power of their bond. This was their moment, a trial that could transform everything. They had learned that love could illuminate the darkest paths, that together, they were stronger than any shadow that dared approach, and in the following moments of uncertainty, laughter returned to the air. Because love, unity, and the warmth of family would always triumph, and they would carry that illuminated truth with them no matter what awaited on the horizon. Now, as we wrap up this incredible journey, remember this: you need to subscribe now to witness more stories that uplift the soul. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that like button to help spread positivity. Comment below with your thoughts and feelings about this heartfelt ending. And wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. True fans know the importance of lifting each other up. Thank you for being a part of this journey.